What's up everybody, Coop here from Certified Gumbo, and I've been playing Star Citizen since October 2021, and I'm going to give a very high level review of my experience in the game so far. I plan to make other content about this game in the future, so please leave a like and consider subscribing for more content. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. I've been loosely following this game's development since 2012. I backed the game with an Aurora starter pack back in 2014, and then I went on with my life because I didn't have a gaming PC. But each year since, I've been following the waves of controversy surrounding the game, such as its slow development, funding model, the release date being pushed back to infinity and beyond, etc, etc. But none of that actually dissuaded me from wanting to play the game. So in the fall of 2021, when I finally built my first gaming PC, I downloaded the game and went into it with modest expectations, and I gotta say, I wasn't disappointed. The amount of detail in every single aspect of this game, from the environments, locations, the ship exteriors and interiors, player interactions, gameplay mechanics, dynamic in-game events like Invictus IAE, which is the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, Jumptown, Nine Tails Lockdown, and Xenothreat, and anything else that I may have missed, all create a very unique gameplay experience that will only continue to improve with time. The detail in this game is absolutely mind-blowing. The ships are some of the best designed and detailed ships I've ever seen. The flight performance and characteristics for each ship can vary depending on external conditions like the various atmospheric conditions on planets and moons versus the zero-G vacuum of space. Each ship manufacturer has a very unique design language that makes them easily identifiable in the verse. For example, brands like Aegis Dynamics and Anvil Aerospace have a long and storied history as ship manufacturers for the United Empire of Earth, or the UEE for short. Both manufacture ships and ship components geared for combat, but both do so in a way that is unique to their brand identity, like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, giving them a sense of character and heritage that you'll rarely find in a video game. At current, there are a total of 17 ship and vehicle manufacturers in the verse, with a wide range of ships and vehicles that you can purchase with in-game credits or with real money via the Roberts Space Industries website. Each manufacturer designs ships for specific roles, and within those roles have very specific use cases in mind. For example, military cargo transports have very different considerations than their civilian industrial counterparts, like jump seats for Marines and cargo holds designed to fit armored vehicles and enough cargo space for any mission that they'll be carrying out. Armor, shield size, and strength will reflect the types of hostile environments that they'll be flying in and out of, while the weapon loadout and placement will allow them to defend themselves and/or provide air support to the ground troops. Star Citizen will have survival gameplay elements that players will need to consider, some of which are already online, like food, water, health, fuel, munitions, armor, weapons, while features like life support, hygiene, ship pressurization, and others will release at a later date. To what extent these features will be fully implemented into the game still remains somewhat of a mystery. However, Cloud Imperium Games have stated on several occasions that the logistics of living in a spacefaring civilization are a key gameplay pillar, and something that players will have to consider while playing in the verse. The size and crew capacity for each ship will be a determining factor in the operational range of every ship in the game. Larger ships will have a longer operational range than smaller ships, but will require more to operate, like crew, fuel, munitions, as well as essential supplies for the crew to actually survive and operate the ship. The increase in size and range will also allow for more amenities for the crew, as well as crew stations for each crew member to operate during the voyage. Of course, ship components like power plants, coolers, shield generators, and quantum drives can be upgraded to give you a marginal boost in performance within its class, but no substantial gains that would allow for the best size 1 components to be able to compete with size 2 or size 3 components. Weapons, missiles, torpedoes, bombs, and turrets can be customized, but there's a lot to unpack there, and I'll probably make another video about that at a later date. The planet tech in this game is unrivaled, even with many of the planned features still missing. It is still able to deliver some truly astonishing views. Getting out of your ship and exploring these environments in a vehicle or on foot really gives you a true sense of the sheer scale and size of these massive planets, moons, space stations, cities, and outposts. Now, coming into it, I've played games like No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous extensively on console from 2014 to 2019-ish, both of which I enjoyed for what they were, but in my opinion, the only thing that these three games have in common is that they take place in outer space. From there, all three diverge into very different gameplay experiences, each with their own pros and cons, and made with a very specific type of player in mind. No Man's Sky is a multiplayer RPG action-adventure set in the procedurally generated fictional universe with countless worlds to explore. Elite Dangerous is an MMORPG set in the procedurally generated 1-to-1 scale of our very own Milky Way galaxy. And Star Citizen aims to be an MMORPG space-based simulation, spanning across 100 star systems in the Milky Way galaxy. In my opinion, all three games are definitely worth playing at least once, especially if you're trying to get into this genre for the first time. Of the three, Star Citizen was always the game that best captivated my imagination. A highly detailed simulation that seeks to balance fun gameplay and realism, substituting the traditional XP, character, and equipment grinds for gameplay loops that require the players to learn the subtle nuances of each career, ship, and weapon in order to become more proficient. Meaning that your skill is dictated by your own knowledge of the various tools, weapons, and equipment at your disposal rather than your character or item's skill level, giving real purpose to players learning how the game works instead of grinding to the level cap, which in the current MMORPG market is a huge breath of fresh air, where all too often being the best comes down to owning the highest rated gear and equipment that the game has to offer. Completing missions impacts your reputation as a player, and factions that benefit from your actions will have a higher affinity towards you, affording you bonuses to compensation, as well as higher risk, higher reward missions as you progress through the reputation tiers. This will one day negatively impact your reputation with rival factions, driving AI hostility towards you around the verse. While all current mission types are very bare bones, their future potential is as clear as day. Another big plus for me is Cloud Imperium Games, or CIG's, relatively transparent development process. They publish things like sprint reports and live stream developer updates at the end of each week on YouTube and Twitch so that we can keep track of development. CIG also has a progress tracker on their website that shows what's currently in development and a release view that shows what features are coming in the next quarterly patch and is updated bi-weekly. On top of that, you don't even need to be a backer to access any of this material. All of this information is free to access by anyone via their website and or social media channels. This is something that very few game developers do, if any, and is a big part of why I have long supported the development of this project. CIG is also very engaged with their community via Twitter, Discord, and all of their other social channels, and for me, that speaks volumes about them as a company. Now, this game is still in alpha, and it's not all sunshine and roses. There are a lot of bugs, some of which are annoying enough to make you rage quit, but honestly, let's face it, no matter what game it is or what state it's in, bugs freaking suck. Personally, I have found the majority of the bugs that I encounter while playing the game manageable, but as a new player, it's something that you should be aware of, and your mileage may vary, so keep that in mind. Since October, we've had 2 patches, 3.15 and 3.16, and as more and more features come online with each patch, the game has become increasingly more stable. But we'll see how long this trend continues. Which brings me to my next gripe, the game's scope. The best and worst part of this game is the scope. CIG is trying to cram so many features, content, and detail into this game without compromising anything but time, and is what has slowed much of the game's progress to a snail's pace. Much of the game's early development was spent creating the tools and the technology that would allow all of this to be a reality. And while they have made measurable progress and added gameplay over the years, they still have a ways to go before all the content that has been promised will be implemented. Not to mention all the content that has shown up on the progress tracker, talked about by the devs at CIG and or demoed in various ways over the years, being delayed indefinitely. And for many longtime backers, this feature creep can drive them absolutely mad. As someone who has followed the game over the years but has only stepped into the verse for the first time more recently, I don't share their pain yet, but I can certainly understand because 10 years is a long time to wait. However, no matter how you feel about the game's progress or lack thereof, one thing can't be denied, and that is how incredibly talented, ambitious, and hardworking the devs at CIG are, and just how committed they are to making this game a reality. If you are interested in playing Star Citizen, I've added my referral code in the description below. Using this will grant you an additional 5,000 Alpha UEC, which is the in-game currency, bringing your grand starting credit to 15,000. This is essential as a new player for stepping into the verse for the very first time. There are no in-game tutorials for new players just yet, so I highly encourage you to check out some of the amazing new player guides from great content creators on YouTube. Some of my favorites are linked down in the description below. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, but please keep in mind that we do make other non-Star Citizen related content on this channel as well. Thank you for watching, and as I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you, always.